it turns out that I let him into my room, and he ended up sitting down on a chair, and he said, well, sit down on my lap, sit down on my lap. And I was like, why? You know what? I wish you'd leave. And finally, I did sit down on his lap. You know, I felt so stupid afterwards, but I did do this. So he ends up, he was very unattractive, this guy. Was not someone that I would want to be doing this with. But, like, he started, like, hugging me, and I was like, okay, please leave. And he kept saying things like, well, let's just hold each other and blah blah, and we don't have to have sex, but unless you want to, you know. And I was a virgin at the time, so there was no way I wanted to have sex with him. And he started like giving me this hickey, like he gave me a hickey on my neck, and I kept trying to get away, but eventually I just let him do it. He gave me this very large hickey.
You know, I saw a time when I could break free, so I did, and as I ran away, he yelled after me, "It's okay, you can go, I've left my mark on you."
I was already in bed, and I was just like, you know, will you please leave, and all this stuff, and he wouldn't. And things got a little bit ugly.
When she woke up, it was too late. It was over in a matter of seconds.
– 125 Dartmouth women are raped a year. And breaking that down, actually, when you try to look at how many women are actually raped on Dartmouth campus a year, it looks like it's about 106 a year. And we see very, very few of those. We see very few reporting it to Hanover Police, or reporting it to security, or reporting it to bring to the COS, for example, taking it to their dean, which may bring it to the COS, and then I see very few coming in here also.
He was a good friend, and at the time, she hadn't dealt with it, so she forgave him, supposedly, or on the surface forgave him, and said okay, and didn't, since he was such a close friend, didn't want harm to come to him, because she felt like, all right, the best thing to do, the most mature person in this case would forgive him, try and help him, and let him go on. And now I think she has second thoughts about that.
His reputation, like, he had a little epithet. He was called the molester by certain people in the black community. And I remember I told one of the black men in the group, and he was like, well, you know that you wanted it, you know. And I'm like, what, you know?
I never testified then, but I should have. But his roommate was good friends with him and told me not to, so I didn't.
What can you do? You know, maybe I should have written an editorial in the D. I don't know. I should have done something. See, now, I mean, I have guilt that I didn't do anything about it, and that I see these people every day, and I'm like, hi, you know.
You may all of a sudden one night start to deal with all the angry feelings and feel like, oh my God, I just want to kick him, I want to do something violent, I want him almost to die, and then on the other hand, you're thinking, I mean, this is a horrible thing, to actually wish hurt on somebody, and it creates a disequilibrium in the sense of how you view yourself, because in this case, the victim was a person who valued being nice and being fair and being moral, and she couldn't understand why she had such hostile feelings.
I felt almost as if I had invited it, since I was like, sure, let's go talk. Let's go out for this walk. And I'm sure it must have been in the back of my mind, this might lead to more, but I didn't know it would lead to that much more.
Can't I get drunk one night without someone trying to take advantage of me? I mean, I do have the legal right to get intoxicated.
See, I hate to do this because I feel so dumb that I was even there. You know, like, why was I even there? But shouldn't I have a right to do what I want to do? I mean, shouldn't I be able to do what I want to do without people?
Past week, I had two very, very unpleasant experiences that happened to me. And I've told people about them, and some people have had attitudes that they're horrendous, while other people have had attitudes that I've completely overreacted, but I don't think so. What happened was I was at two parties this past week, and at each party I was at, I had my behind pinched by a male individual at the party, both of whom I had never met before, never even spoken to before. And naturally, I got really upset at both of them when they did it. and I tried to explain to actually one of them why I thought it was incorrect to touch the body of a person who you have absolutely no knowledge of in any way, and he commenced to call me an uptight Dartmouth bitch, along with many other nice insults.
But if you're at a party and you grab somebody's shoulder, breast, head, whatever without their permission, that's an unprivileged physical contact with another person. And technically, according to the law, that's assault and it's a crime. Because way back to English law, there's this idea that you have a right to your own body and other people don't get to touch it without your permission.
And the sad thing is that, you know, people wouldn't really qualify this as sexual assault, and people think it's not such a big deal because I guess doing that is considered acceptable in society. But the thing is that I feel is that sexual harassment and sexual assault are very closely related, and if individuals don't see a problem with that, I don't see where they would have a problem with doing more severe things to women.
Men living together and maybe feeling like they need to bond together. I think we see a lot of drinking going on in fraternities, a lot of parties going on in fraternities. So to a certain extent, yes, that the fraternity system may contribute to the already existing society belief that violence against women is okay, especially if you know her.
The bounding through degradation, it's pretty much a sham. And it's what the Army's based on. It has nothing to do with friendship, intimacy, love, any of the experiences, I think, are what friends are made of. So there's this term brothers applied to this other term bonding, which really had nothing to do with feelings.
What it's called is show timing. And 3 people, or in my situation it was 3 people, and a group of brothers in the house will sit outside of a window and watch, you know, and what happened was then their house meeting, what they do is at their next house meeting they'll cite the brother and they'll say, did this happen, we saw this happen, and they'll give like specific details of what happened and the person's name. So my name was said at meetings with all these details of what we were doing.
This position gets handed down like year after year. Usually, I think it's to a junior, and he finds out that who in the house, you know, has gotten laid probably within the house, you know, at some party, you know, probably drunk, and he, like at the end of meetings, this is like what everyone waits for. The meetings are really boring otherwise, and he calls up the names of whoever he's heard, you know, among the house, and it's supposed to be a secret how he found out. So he's like the inquisitor, you know, kind of, you know, Spain, that's what it goes back to. So then these guys come down in front of the house, and they tell a story about who they made love to. And they tell all the details. And the more intimate the details, the more raucous the laughter. Kind of thing.
It's done in that confidential environment of a meeting. And none of the brothers are supposed to tell anyone. But here I am, I mean, brought up at meetings. I mean, completely objectified. Completely violated. That's what it was. It was the feeling of being violated. And, I mean, I had left something of mine there, and I left like a pair of gloves there. And the gloves were held up at meetings. And, like this was, you know, her thing. And, oh, God.
Newsletters would call like a girl a pig or something. I mean, it's not a good thing. But no one ever got called anything so benign as a pig. My house was much fun. It was not a pig. At least cracked, if not axe wound or something. Like Alpha Chi or whoever would get caught. It's like so dumb. You know, it's like we could be, you know, as insensitive and hateful and vindictive, just ugly. as anyone, as I could ever imagine. And we never get in trouble because we didn't write it down.
He was apologizing, and he said, like, I didn't know, he said, I didn't know that was going on. He's like, I thought it was ridiculous. I didn't know. And I said, well, then why did you agree to answer these questions? Why don't you just say, I'm not answering these questions, it's none of your business, which it isn't. And he was like, I had to answer them. I was like, all right, whatever.
And then we got taken down the basement, and somehow we all wound up naked, crawling along the floor of the basement into the same corner with each other, getting water thrown on us and called names, and pissed on by other people. On Hell Night, a couple more great things happened to us. We were made to stand on our hands and knees, or kneel on our hands and knees, and our knees are about 6 inches higher than our hands. So it's even more subservient than just hands and knees, you know what I mean? Like, you're on an angle, pointed down. And there's a bucket in front of you that other people have thrown up in. And it's supposed to be a comedy. Because what happens is you're on trial, and these people are asking you questions, like embarrassing questions about your life, that they may have found out from other pledges or other brothers, people that know you, intimate things that they find out. And then they have this mock kind of trial, and then they find you guilty of these embarrassing things, and they make you drink these half bourbon, half beer, like between 3 and 4, 5, depends how many embarrassing infractions you have. So you drink them and then you throw up, because when you drink bourbon beers, it makes you throw up. And then they take you out of there, and there's something called boot punch, which isn't boot, but it's like, I don't know what it is. Like a mixture, like, I don't know, pastas and soups and mayonnaise and relish. It's really grim shit. And they have a gigantic bucket of it. And they make you just keep drinking it until you boot. And it's like, this one guy had the record, it was 11.
So what I did was I blocked it out. I was like, I'm not even going to think about it. Because what can I do? Was I going to be like, should I just hate them? And whenever I saw them, anytime I ever saw anyone in the house, just be obnoxious? But see, I don't think that accomplishes anything. That's why I don't know what route to take. I don't know what to do to make sure that something like this doesn't happen again.
I beat him up, like, I just started hitting on him and fighting him and everything, and he wasn't doing anything back, and it just felt so good to, like, hit him, and scream at him and scratch him and kick him and everything, That still wasn't good enough, because I don't think even then he knew that I was that serious.
She was drunk one night and angry and went back to his fraternity house and was, like, yelling in anger about this incident, and she ended up getting punished for that, for yelling in the fraternity house obscenities or something like that. But the whole thing was just ridiculous that he got no charge for assault.
And she went before COS, and they asked her all the questions of what she was wearing and how much she'd been drinking and stuff like that, which is really upsetting considering we're supposed to have such the educated campus. So, but it was really funny. She was great telling the story, because she's like, it was the best thing to tell them that I was wearing a turtleneck, a sweatshirt, and jeans.
Women know it, They've seen it in the courts. They've seen it on TV. They may have experienced it themselves. They know that people are going to say, well, I always knew he was kind of a creep. Why did you go home with him? Or, God, you were so drunk. Why didn't you just go home? Or, questions, throwing questions back at them instead of giving them the support that they need.
I found out from her 5 seconds before I went into a room that the person who attacked me would be there. Would not only be there listening to what my answers to her questions, but would be taking notes and would be able to cross-examine me through her after she was done. And that was a really tough thing to deal with. It was really, the only way I could deal with it was by just tuning out, becoming just a robot, basically, and just not showing any emotions, answering questions,
as curtly as possible, not getting into anything. And I looked at him a couple times, and that just really freaked me out. It really did. It's hard. That was probably the closest I'd ever been to him, like in proximity, since he attacked me.
It just makes me feel a little bit paranoid that if something does happen to me again, that if I tell people, they're going to be blaming me, like, what happened to you now, and blah, blah, you're making much ado about nothing.
Because I'm out, and because everyone knows that I'm a lesbian, I have a huge fear of being raped to be taught a lesson. Because a lot of men think all I need is a good fuck by a man, and then I'll be normal. And, you know, the one example is when I was in a fraternity. I was walking up the stairs, and I didn't realize how out I was until this happened, and I just heard a male voice say, "My God, that feminist dyke, I'd like to dive her muff and teach her a lesson."
Heather by herself, Heather with me, Heather with REACT, you know, cannot change sexual assault on this campus. Only the people who are assaulting people are finally going to be able to change that. In the meantime, we try to change a culture that allows that to happen by education and by a lot of speaking out to change people's consciousness, and also changing the way in which we police that behavior. Because policing the behavior is one of the ways that we show that the community doesn't want this to be happening. No one of those things changed by itself is going to change sexual assault, because it's too much right now a part of our much wider culture, and it's certainly still a part of culture at Dartmouth.
Ironically enough, he had been in an organization called Men Against Rape, and apparently the organization fell through due to lack of support.
Certainly not backing rape or anything like that, and I think sexual awareness is a good thing. You know, I'm not the type to get involved, but you know, I'm certainly, I think something needs to be done on campus about that. If it's a problem, I don't know. It's not a problem for me.
One of the hard things for me has been so far during this meeting is coming to accept the fact that I could rape someone. Because I never really, I remember after with Jessica in Moore's film, in which during the film, I had to drag her onto the scene, throw her down, and I was going through the motions of about to rape her. She gets away and she runs off, and I chase after her. And after that, I felt like shit. And that for me was oh, phew, I felt like shit because I mean, obviously I couldn't rape someone. I mean, I just felt so bad just acting it out. And then, so when we brought up the fact that all men are potential rapists, I'm like, wait a moment, I don't think I could ever rape someone. And then further along, like only just recently, I was thinking, well, you know, I got the equipment. I've been socialized too. I could be in a situation where I'm convincing myself that I'm not raping this person because otherwise I could not feel that way. I don't know where this leads, but it's very hard. One thing that it does lead to is it's very hard for men to accept the fact that they could do, that they can rape, and there's very much an emotional block going along there somewhere that you just don't want to.
We've got to face the fact that many, maybe even most of the college men who have committed rape or have attempted to commit rape are normal men, and that this is exactly where the problem lies. The fact of the matter is that for every 12 college men in the United States, at least one has either raped or has attempted to rape a woman. At least.
What students are having to do, and what they're realizing, and many of them are doing now, is that if we want this to stop, we can work together and we can tell administration that we don't agree with some of the things that are going on, and we would like to see some changes made.
I feel comforted by the circle, and I feel glad that there are men here with women. I feel very sad. I feel sad because I know that until all of us are free, none of us are free. And I would like to challenge the men that care with us that they go out and work among their brothers.
I guess I'm tired. I'm sick and tired of having to be afraid to walk out in my world at night because I'm a woman. Sick of and tired of picking up the paper every day and reading the violence against women. Sick and tired of the fact that women have to come into my office day after day after day and tell me how they have been violated and how their lives have been shattered by another human being. I'm sick of women being victims and survivors and then having to not only put their lives together but also go out and try to change this.
I also like to say something against isolating sexual assault and rape as a closed-off issue and seeing it as one specific problem that could be taken care of by a bureaucracy addressing only that, and really look at it as just an exertion of power.
I think whether it's a fraternity system that provides centers for rape, or whether it's student publications that thrust their position of male supremacy in our faces, people have been silenced too long.
I think about all the strength I've drawn from women in my life, that I draw from women every single day, including today.
A lot of women feel a lot of the fear alone, and they don't realize that they should be angry about it, and that there are other women around that can be angry with them, and other people around that can be angry with them, because it's our right to be able to walk alone at night, or to be able to do what we want and not to be violated.